What's going on, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk all things Marvel and MCU. And right off the bat, spoiler warning, if you have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, we are about to dive into some spoilers for that film, so you should click away now. If you are still with me, I had to kind of lie about the title and put rumor in the title so I didn't spoil it for those who haven't seen No Way Home, but Tom Holland has finally talked about the other two Spider-Men being in Spider-Man No Way Home and what it was like to work with them. After going all of this time and everybody denying that they are all three in Spider-Man No Way Home, Andrew Garfield saying that he's not the werewolf, Toby pretty much staying quiet about everything, and Tom doing his absolute best to not spoil everything, and he didn't. All for us to get that epic moment on screen that we saw where we saw Andrew Garfield and then Tobey Maguire show up. After finally experiencing that in an interview on Marvel's website directly, we have Zendaya and Tom Holland talking about what it was like to have Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire on the set. So let's check out what Tom and Zendaya had to say about working with the other two Spider-Men. And of course, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date on all of the latest MCU news. So like I said, this is coming directly from Marvel's website, and the article is titled Spider-Man No Way Home, Tom Holland and Zendaya on new and returning surprise characters. Now, if I wasn't so sick still, and it wasn't so hard to talk, I would go over all of these, but I'm just going to go over a few. And let's start with Charlie Cox, because that was an awesome surprise. Even though some of us knew it was coming, it was still insanely exciting to see on screen. It starts off by saying, does that suit, cane, and glasses combination look familiar? Yes, Charlie Cox is once again playing Matt Murdock, making a surprise appearance to offer Peter, May Parker, and Happy legal advice, and he's a very good lawyer. Tom Holland said, "We had so much fun working with Charlie. It's really interesting doing a scene between two superheroes that has no real superhero stuff in it, apart from the bit when he catches the brick. It was awesome." Zendaya then says, "I didn't get to be there," in which Tom Holland said, "You weren't there for that?" "Oh, you were there for that," in which Zendaya said, "I was there for the behind the scenes watching you guys, but I didn't get to be in it." And Tom Holland said, "But it was great. I loved working with Charlie." Now, like I said, I'm not going to go over all of these, but I do want to talk about what Tom had to say about Willem Dafoe, because I think he just absolutely crushed his character. Returning after years and years and years of playing the Green Goblin, he came back and absolutely killed the role. It says, "If that cackle sends a chill down your spine, you're not alone." Returning as Norman Osborn / the Green Goblin, Dafoe is downright terrifying, though Peter does think he kind of looks like a green elf at first. Tom Holland says, "I've never worked with an actor who was able to give a director so many options. He has this one speech in the film where he's talking about Peter's kind of existential crisis. And then Zendaya cut him off and said, scared the hell out of everyone, to be honest." Tom then said, "He must have done that scene 30 times and they were all different." In which Zendaya said, "The coolest thing is that everyone's so lovely and then they just play these very evil characters. He's so good at just like being lovely, you know? Hey, how are you?" And then Green Goblin, like, whoa. And now here's what Tom Holland and Zendaya had to say about working with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. It says, "Last seen on screen as Spider-Man in 2007, Maguire's version of the character enters this multiverse to help out Holland's Peter. Now older and wiser, he serves as a Spidey mentor of sorts to the young hero." Tom Holland, "Toby was so funny." Zendaya, "He was so cool." Tom Holland says, "We have so many little inside jokes that came up from working with Toby. Definitely not your dad," he says, and that's a quote, and I'm assuming an inside joke. Zendaya then says, "T. McGee," in which Tom Holland also says, "T. McGee, man, he was so funny. He was really excited to be back. You could tell it really meant a lot to him. Him putting the suit on again, us getting back together. It was awesome." Zendaya says, "That first day, I was so nervous for you," in which Tom says, "Yeah, I was stressed." Zendaya said, "We had to do a rehearsal, and me and Jacob felt like your parents." Tom jokes and says, "Dropping me off at school," Zendaya says, "like dropping you off at kindergarten for the first day. Like, I hope the other kids like him, and like, I hope he doesn't come back crying. And so we were just there, and I was taking pictures of you guys so that you could have it. It was so cute." Tom then says, "You do have some amazing pictures of us, Zendaya. I do. But yeah, he was so lovely and hilarious unintentionally sometimes." And Tom's final words were, "He's hilarious." And I'm hoping at least one point in time on set behind the scenes, there is a video or a picture somewhere out there of all three Spider-Man, or at least Toby and Tom, doing the emo Parker dance. Now, I just love what they said about Toby, about how excited he was to be back, and that it really meant a lot to him to be back because he's my Spider-Man. He's the Spider-Man that I grew up with. He's the one that I'll always have the biggest emotional attachment to. And the fact that he was excited to return and it meant a lot to him means a lot to me. And I'm sure many other people out there as well. And I personally really loved that he played the older type of mentor type to Peter Parker. To not just our Peter Parker, but to Andrew as well. He has that scene with Andrew where he tells him, don't give up on love. It was hard for me and MJ, but we made it work. And I do love the role that Andrew Garfield got to play and what it meant to him. And here's what Tom and Zendaya had to say about working with Andrew. It says, "Last seen on screen as Spider-Man in 2014, Garfield returns to the character to once again crawl up the walls. Alongside Maguire's version of the character, Garfield works to help Holland's Peter with the challenges he's currently facing." Tom Holland says, "Andrew Garfield, the legend himself, he's such a lovely guy. I think this film was his way of making peace with Spider-Man. It was such a privilege to work with him. I know that it meant a lot to him." Then Zendaya says some really touching words here. She says, "It was so beautiful to see Toby, Andrew, and Tom care so deeply about the characters and what their journey had been as Spider-Man. It was so beautiful to see all of you guys connect on that and be able to talk to each other about such a special experience that very few people have been able to don the suit. It was so great to see how much you guys all really cared and had each other's back. It was really sweet." In which Tom Holland replied, "It's like a brotherhood." Now, I personally really love this, and I actually have to agree with what Tom Holland said here. It does feel like this was sort of a redemption moment for Andrew Garfield. The Amazing Spider-Man movies get a lot of hate, and that's not Andrew's fault. I actually think he's a fantastic Spider-Man, but this film, Spider-Man No Way Home, he really shined. Especially for me, I think that he did an incredible job, and he was my favorite part of the movie, one of them at least. Every time he talked about Gwen, and when he talked about not holding back his punches anymore, got me choked up. And when he caught MJ, that was such a perfect scene and such a redemption moment for him. I cried all of the times when I watched this movie during this part. And then you have this scene where he's talking to Toby, and Toby's like, "Wait a second, you're amazing. And he says, "Not gonna lie, I needed to hear that." You can tell that this is really about Andrew and his films. It's two-part, right? Because he's the amazing Spider-Man. Toby is saying, "You're amazing." But also, you have to imagine that Andrew felt kind of bad about how fans reacted to the films. And this is Toby saying, "No, you're amazing. You're an amazing Spider-Man." And I think that was overall just an insanely cool scene. And I look forward to getting to know more about what happened behind the scenes. I look forward to the behind the scenes videos where we see all of them interacting together. No doubt they'll release those over time. I mean, this was kind of secretly released on Marvel's website. It wasn't advertised that much because obviously Marvel and Sony are still trying to keep the other Spider-Men a secret. But of course, it'll all come out probably pretty soon. But in the meantime, let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. And what was your favorite part of Spider-Man No Way Home? Don't forget to like the video and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. And of course, for live updates, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.